Good night, teacher. Good night, classmates. This time we're going to talk about adjective clauses. My name is William Alvarez, and it's going to be a pleasure.
Hi, my name is Sissy Vidal. We want to talk about with introductions. Um, as this is Klaus, a little table of the context, overview, a short summary about adjective clause, topic features, relative pronouns, and adjective clause. Specific topics is adjective clause with subject and also relative pronouns, and identifying and not identifying. And the last one, exercise, solve some grammar. Next, please. Overview. An adjective clause is a clause that describes, modify a noun or pronoun. Introduction. Use adjective clause to identify or give additional information about nouns or identifies pronouns, such as someone, somebody, something, another, and others. This appears immediately after the nouns or pronouns is described or identified. Sentence with adjective clause can be seen a combination of two sentences. I have a friend plus he loves go shopping. I have a friend who loves go shopping. Adjective clauses are introduced via relative pronouns. Relative pronouns is used to refer to nouns mentioned previously, whether if they are people, animals, things, place, or ideas. The relative pronouns are listed below: that, which, who, won't, would, when, where, why. Subject relative pronouns are who or that for people, that is less formal than would, which or that for place or things, that is less formal than which, would plus noun for people, possessions. Next, please. Object relative pronouns are who, won't, or that for people. Who is very formal. Which or that for things, that is less formal than which. Whose plus noun for people's possessions. Where refers to a place. When or that refers to a time.
So let's see how adjective clause describes nouns and pronouns. As we can see, the adjective clause, that is also a dependent clause, can go after and inside the main clause. For example, let's imagine we have the sentence, that's my friend. Only that's my friend. And my friend is the subject of the main clause or the sentence. Then we use the subject relative pronoun who because we are referring to a person. To introduce the adjective clause who lives in Rome. Who lives in Rome helps us to either identify a specific friend in this case. I could have many friends and I want to specify only one. So I'm going to use a adjective clause. For example, that's my friend who lives in Rome. That's my friend who is a dancer. In the next example, we have my friend who lives in Rome is a dancer. So let's imagine we have two sentences. My friend lives in Rome and my friend is a dancer. We're gonna use adjective clauses to join both sentences into one using the subject relative pronoun who. Because in this case, I want to specify also my friend who lives in Rome or my friend is a dancer. It could be the opposite. For example, my friend who is a dancer lives in Rome. I want to specify uh, only one friend. Some important things we have to know about adjective clauses uh, is that the main clause, as I said before, the main clause can go after and in the middle of the main clause. Also, we have to know that adjective clauses with subject relative pronoun is that the subject relative pronoun have the same form whether they refer to a singular or plural noun or male or female noun. Also, the verb in the adjective clause is singular if the subject is relative pronoun refers to a singular noun. It's plural if it's referred to a plural noun. Next, please. In this example, we have New York is the city which never sleeps. So we are using the adjective clause to identify or describing the city of New York. Adjective clause works in the same way as normal adjectives. We use it to describe a noun. In this case, I know the man who lives there. If you can notice, I use the subject relative pronoun who, and as I said before, the subject relative pronoun doesn't change even if it's referred to a singular or plural uh, noun or male or female noun. In this case, I know the man who lives there. Uh, I know the women who came from Italy last year. So the subject relative pronoun who doesn't change even if I'm referring to a female noun. In this case, the women. Also, those are the people who lives next door. I'm talking about a group of people. So it doesn't matter if I'm talking about a group of people, a female, of a male, singular, or plural noun. The subject relative pronoun doesn't change. I was the one whose father traveled to the moon. I am using the subject relative pronoun whose last noun, in this case my father, to identify it's my father who traveled to the moon. We have some exercise here. Uh, I fell in love with that dog I saw in the pet shop. In this case, we use that because in English, dog is seen as an object. In the second exercise, we have two sentences. Abel McConnell is the singer of The Weeknd, and Abel McConnell was born in Canada. We combine these sentences using the subject relative pronoun who, also because I'm referring to Abel McConnell, which is a person. So Abel McCannn, who is the Weeknd singer, was born in Canada. It also could be Abel McCannn, who was born in Canada, is the Weeknd singer. In the next exercise, we have to unscramble the sentence. For example, next please. Gabriel is the one who is composing Chopin. I'm using also because I'm referring to Gabriel. And Gabriel is a person, and we use the subject relative pronoun who. It could be also that. And finally, in the last example, I have someone is looking who has a lot of friends. Is that sentence right? True or false? Its sentence is wrong because as we know, uh, the adjective clause come right after the noun. For example, someone is an indefinite noun, and it should be someone who has a lot of friends is looking.
So after class with other pronoun. For example, here is all the book. After class, after you know, after class with other pronoun. For example, here is all the book. After class, after the main class. After class is that she right. Object pronoun is that subject she there's right. So here is all the books that she writes. And then after class inside the main class. For example, main class is the book seems very interesting. With after class is the book that they were seems very interesting. Also, the pronoun is that. So the play and the word um, another pronoun can be the object of an active cloud is the other pronoun come at the beginning of the active cloud. For example, Eva will start on TV in Hawaii. Other pronouns have to say for whether they refer to singular or plural nouns or to noun assembly noun. For example, that the man would admit or that the woman would admit. Neither in the active cloud agree with the subject or the active cloud. For example, I like the color which he writes. I like the color which they write. Be careful, don't use both object relative pronouns and other pronouns instead adjective clause. Next, um, object relative pronouns are would, or that for people. For example, she's the writer would admit. She's the writer would admit. She's the writer that I need. Who is one. The relative pronoun would make the assumption because it's above quiet or would and other for want. Take your decision between before it is what the pronoun is doing in its own clause. Use was is the pronoun is the subject of the verb in the tense class. For example, the people who just wore the plain are in verb class. The pronoun is subject of the verb wore. Use one is the pronoun is the object of the verb in the tense class. For example, the person one would meet at the family dinner is coming to visit. The pronoun is object of the verb in. And next, um, which or that for that is the form of that which. For example, I read the book which he wrote. I read the book that he wrote. Um, that's the which. That and which are used to refer to different types of adjective clause called essential and not essential clause. Essential clause that always indicate a clause that is essential to the meaning of the sentence because it defines or defines the noun referred to. At least an essential clause does not take a comma before it. For example, these are words that she wrote in Italia. What shows the work that she wrote in Italia? The clause identifies the show, which may also be used in introduction and essential clause. For example, these are words which she wrote in Italia. Now essential clause, which is used another essential clause modifying an animal or a thing. Another essential clause is one that repeats secondary non-essential information about a noun that is really full identified. Another essential clause is separated for its noun with a comma. For example, these are words her best later show, which she wrote in Italia. What show he best later one? The clause even with the identified show, so it's not essential. It's not essential. Next. Another pronoun can be object or a preposition. No, informal speaking avoid the equal to the preposition at the end of the class on the clause. I would also leave off the role pronoun. For example, he is the writer plus I work for him. He is the writer that I work for. Or he is the writer I work for. No, informal English would put the preposition at the beginning of the class. In this case, we use only one and which. He is the writer for one I work. That's a book about which I told you. Next, where and when can also be used to introduction and clause. Where refers to a place. For example, that delivery plus she works there. That delivery is where she works. When or that refers to a time. I remember the day plus I meet him then. I remember the day when I meet him. I remember the day that I meet him. That's the house plus I go out in the house with my sister Emilia. And the correct sentence is that's the house where I go out my sister's family with my sister Emilia because it refers to the house. I remember what summer plus the whole family when they came late. Yeah. The correct sentence is I remember what summer when the whole family went to the lake. This refers to summer time. This refers to time plus I always need them. The correct is I always need it when I got a good time. Another example is the clothing we appears to be there, and correctly the clothing would say would appear to be there because it refers to the coat to that person. The last one is the glass in which that I had a problem at first was in English. It refers to things it refers to
Now let's start talking about identifying and non-identifying adjective clauses. We have two types of adjective clause. Adjective clauses, as the title mentioned, the first one is identifying adjective clause with subject or object relative pronoun, and the second one is non-identifying adjective clauses with subject or object relative pronoun. But what is identifying adjective clause for? We use identifying clauses to give essential information about the noun we talk about. Uh, as I mentioned before, when in the last example, I have to identify specifically to my friend. So I give to the sentence specific information to identify that noun. In this case, the computer which is in the family room is broken. Let's imagine we have too many computers, and I have and the family room and my bedroom and in the living room, and I want to identify which computer is broken. So I give the essential information to identify that computer or the noun I'm talking about. The computer which is in the family room is broken. Identifying adjective clause with object relative pronoun, uh, we have optional information. This is the definition of non-identifying adjective clause. We have additional or optional information about the noun it refers to. It's optional because the main clause can be understood clearly without the adjective clause. In this case, the computer is not working. It's a complete sentence. It makes sense, but we we give some optional information. For example, the computer which she bought last week is not working. In object relative pronoun, we can omit the object relative pronoun. In non-identifying object class, we can omit the object relative pronoun because it not so necessary. For example, the computer she bought last week is not working. It could be possible because the computer and she are not the same subject. Some important characteristics about identifying objective clause are that we can omit the relative pronoun, as I mentioned before. We can omit the relative pronoun when it's perdón. Some important characteristics. No, vuelve nomás atrás. Yeah. Some important characteristics about identifying adjective clause are that we can omit, as I mentioned before, the relative pronoun when it's an adjective clause with object relative pronoun, and when the adjective clause is introduced with a relative pronoun when. So, for example, I remember I was, for example, I remember when I was a child, I do some things, and I remember I was a child, I do some things. So it could be omitted. Some important characteristic about non-identifying objective clause are that we can omit any relative pronoun with non-identifying objective clause. In written English, clause is separated by a comma. For example, the computer, which is in the family room, is broken. And in spoken English, it's separated by a short silence. For example, the computer, which is in the family room, is broken. I'm making silence between the computer, which is in the family room, is broken. Next, please. We use an identifying objective clause to identify which member of a group the sentence I'm talking about. For example, as the example, as the previous example, I have three phones as the computer examples. I have many computers, and the phone which is in the kitchen is broken. Then use non-identifying objective clause to give additional information. It's not necessary to add that information, but we add that information anyway. So we give additional information about the noun, and the information, as I said, it's not necessary. I have only one phone. The phone which is in the kitchen is broken. And my friend whose t-shirt was torn is a doctor now. For example, whose t-shirt was torn is an unnecessary information, but my friend is a doctor now. Next, please. In writing, a non-identifying object is separated by the rest of the sentence by commas, and in spoken English, it's separated by short silence or brief pauses. Next, please. Okay, we have relative pronouns in a non-identifying clause. She remembers Mark, who she visits often. That's the author whose book I read, and that's the library where I work. We identify, for example, places, possessive, and persons. Next, please. We have some examples here and exercises. For example, you can leave out relative pronoun only when it's an object relative pronoun and in an identifying adjective clause. Next, please. It's true. In the next example, I remember the day I was afraid to use my computer. My computer, then it will be I remember the day when I was afraid to use my computer. In the next example and the last one, my new cell phone, which I bought a month ago, has become a necessary part of my life. What type of adjective clause is? It's a non-identifying adjective clause with subject relative pronoun because we are giving optional information. My new cell phone, which I bought, my new cell phone has become a necessary part of my life. It's not too necessary to specify that I bought a month ago, and it's an it's a non-identifying adjective clause with subject relative pronoun because I'm talking about my cell phone, and my cell phone is the subject of the sentence. My new cell phone has become uh, has become a necessary part of my life. Next, please. So forget everything. Next. So thank you, you all for listening to us. See you later.